Hello and happy International Women's Day Eve. I am here with the members of Wyvern Lingo, Caoimhe, Saoirse and Karen, and with visual artist Ling Heaney. And we are here together, well, we're here together virtually. We are bridging the distance between Ireland and the Consulate General of Ireland here in Los Angeles. And we are very excited to share Wyvern Lingo and Ling's Radio Somewhere, which will be rebroadcasted tomorrow on International Women's Day. So in advance of that, we would love to get an insight into the process of creating this enrapturing live stream. So firstly, could you tell us a little bit about the concept behind developing Radio Somewhere?
Yes, of course. Thanks so much for having us, Síobhra. This is something we poured a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into last year during the pandemic. So it's been, the response was amazing at the time, and then to get to rebroadcast it again to a new audience is just amazing. Because we really wanted to live on and keep doing different things for different people. But basically, this came about because of a really fantastic grant that the National Concert Hall in Dublin have been providing in conjunction with Sounding the Feminists. So we applied for a music project that would basically incorporate visual art and live streaming that would be performed from the National Concert Hall. And then from there, the idea kind of grew legs, because at the time there was a report came out called Why Not Her, and it's all about the gender disparity in Irish radio. And that's been going on the last couple of, well, forever. But has been coming out to the public in the last couple of years. And basically it just means out of our homegrown Irish artists, the ones that get big airtime and a lot of radio time are about 90% male. So people have been sort of realizing that we're not appreciating our female acts, and we're not giving them platforms a lot of them deserve on primetime Irish radio. So yeah, we decided to imagine our own fantasy radio station where gender disparity didn't exist. And that's it kind of grew from there. I mean, we had so many brainstorming sessions between ourselves, and we wanted to really capture like what radio means to people and why they listen to it, and that moment when you hear someone that speaks to you as an artist on the radio, and what impact that can have on your career as an artist.
Mm-hmm. And throughout the live streams, you've many collaborators. You're collaborating with Hannigan and Hozier and Denise Chaila. And there are segments in Radio Somewhere where these artists speak to that experience of hearing something on the radio and it being this sort of magically musical, formative experience. And I wonder, would you share those experiences that you might have had over the years, and what might have inspired you to pivot towards this fantasy radio format for this show?
Oh yeah, I mean, I now that you've asked me, my mind has gone blank. But it is actually that whole, that kind of magic moment where, there's something special about radio in that it's not the same as what we're used to with Spotify now these days. It's kind of happening across your path, and it can kind of affect you in a more profound way. And as what did I say?
Jennifer Evans. It was
Jennifer Evans.
This all came from this experience Caoimhe had.
Oh my God, my small brain, honestly. Okay. Anyway, okay, I remember. Fucking hell, yeah. So I was listening to Radio Somewhere, which is an entirely Irish speaking radio station, but I think the majority, or if not all of their presenters, are volunteers, which kind of also means that they can play whatever they want, which can be good, but is mostly can be unpredictable, let's say. But one such time I was listening, and this song by an Irish artist called Jennifer Evans came on. The Rush to the Death, the Ache, I think is the name of the track. And it was just a demo of hers from SoundCloud. And it just floored me. And actually, I was, showing it to people at parties, and it's just this really mild track, it's not a party song, but just there's something really gorgeous and magic about it. And even to this day, that was maybe about 10 years ago, to this day, it still kind of profoundly affects the way that I want to make music and the kind of sound that I want to make. And yeah, that just wouldn't have happened. It just wouldn't have happened in any other way, you know.
Fascinating. That is fascinating. It is gorgeous.
Sorry, got there in the end.
And I'm interested to hear about the artistic partnership between Wyvern Lingo and 1iiing. And 1iiing, I know that you've designed many of the album artworks over the years for Wyvern Lingo. So how did this collaboration progress into this tangible, large-scale form that we see in Radio Somewhere?
Yeah, so the gals just emailed me in February, I think, of 2020, before everything happened. And yeah, so I had been working on all of these kind of single images and the album cover while living back in Bray, like where we all grew up. And there was a lot of kind of wandering around Bray and kind of, you know, taking elements from it. Weirdly enough, I feel there's a lot of Bray in the visuals. But then, yeah, it was like, I suppose we spent so much on screens and looking at screens and wanting to kind of extract that out into something that was huge. And I remember going into the concert hall and being like, oh, I can do whatever I want here. Yeah, so it was yeah, it was just, I don't know if that answers the question.
No, yeah, it did. I mean, I think it made like so much sense. I completely agree with what you're saying, 1iiing. I feel like there's like contours in the images of our artwork, which kind of feel like another planet, but very much are the kind of outline of our hometown, in the kind of, they're the skyline of what we kind of grew up with, the like, you know, the like Brayhead and all the rest.
Yeah, I remember sending you all the first kind of like the first drafts, like stuff that you wouldn't even know those the first drafts. And I remember, Karen, you sent me a message and you were like, I actually got kind of emotional looking at it because it reminded you of like the fields we played in when we were kids.
Totally, because it was the dandelion.
Yeah.
And 1iiing and I grew up on the same road, and I vividly remember us like having the absolute crack with dandelions, like just being I remember you showing me how to like find a dandelion that was you know, when they're like, when you blow on them and it goes everywhere. That was, we used to have a name like
the
that.
Good ones.
The good
like, a name for that as kids. And I just remember that, and it's so like special to my memory of us as very young children. And I was just like, I was really just got me in the feels. And it also for me related so much to our music, because this album especially that 1iiing had done the artwork for is so much about our journey together as musicians, but also as people and as friends. And yeah, she just managed to just get it, and with her amazing skills create this parallel universe. It's like, you know, have you seen I can't think of the Upside Down in oh my god, Saoirse, what is it? What? Stranger Things? It's like a really happy version of the Upside Down. Where it feels like it's where we're from, but in this lovely, beautiful alternate reality instead of a scary one.
So this alternate reality, this parallel universe, occupies the entirety of the concert hall. So Radio Somewhere takes you through the main stage, flipping that arena, taking you to corners of the concert hall that aren't accessible to audience members. So I'm interested to know how you went about mapping your music onto the space of the concert hall.
There was a lot of grand piano. Yeah, which gave us the opportunity to do a couple of songs acoustically and take it to different areas of the National Concert Hall. And then our set kind of, it just had this natural flow to it as well when you're bang in the middle of that room. So, and then we were able to piece it all together. It all just kind of made sense then. So
yeah. I mean, like, I think at the time, you know, everyone was doing their best to adapt to this new way of getting live music to people. And so we had a really great team working on it with us, and we would have many Zoom chats and plans, and everybody was really on board to get the best result So I think everywhere in the concert hall just felt like an opportunity, because I mean, you know, it was such a rare opportunity. When are you going to get the chance to run around the building like this, and even just show people views that they would never see in the space themselves? Even when we do I Love You Sadie and it's looking back out at the seats, is such an unusual backdrop. And so, you know, I think we're really lucky to explore the space in that way, you know. And like some decisions were made on the day, and it just depended on the way things, the sound moved in the space. For example, when we do There's a Place on the Stairs, and the lads just put these little pink lights behind us, and I was like, love this. And then only after that did I know that Ling was adding these gorgeous, like, meadowy bubbles and flowers. Like, what?
Cool.
Oh, so good.
Can we also just mention Jarfinnegan, who directed the show? I mean, he is just incredible. And when we went to see, because of the pandemic, like, you have to remember as well, even for the viewing day, we couldn't just rock up. It was so like, okay, we're going to go at this time during this day, and everyone has to well, there weren't antigen tests then even, so it was like everyone has to be really, really careful, and we can only have 5 people in. And I remember us going in, Ling and Jar and I went in, and I remember Jar just being like, could we shoot this way? Could we shoot out instead? Like, everyone's seen this, can we do something? And he was like, Ling, what do you think of that? And you were like, yeah. You're like, I can work with this. And it meant that Ling got to hang all these, drape this amazing amount of material from the balconies and the seats, and then we were able to then use the organ, and it was just like, honestly, it was just so many brilliant like creatives coming together to create something really, really cool. And I suppose if it hadn't been for the pandemic, we probably wouldn't have got to do that. They would have had concerts in every night. There's no way we would have been able to run around like we did and use all the different spaces. That just wouldn't have been possible. So there was something special in that, for sure.
Absolutely. And in what was quite a creatively constricting time, I mean, the play and the curiosity and the adventure, sense of adventure that you brought to Radio Somewhere really, really just thrives through the piece. It's absolutely stunning. And that scene in particular, that segment in particular, really stuck with me the first time I watched it in the midst of COVID, where you're sitting on the stairs in a rather obscure part of the concert hall that isn't accessible, and laid over is this dream world of kind of pink flowers, and it feels, I mean, you feel like you're really in the dreamscape of the Wyvern Lingo parallel universe. So Ling, I'd love to learn a little bit more about how you created that.
It was a lot of
layman's terms.
It was a lot of time and compromise on my part of what I could actually achieve, but I got there in the end. It was actually really working really closely with Jar as well, because like, it was something that I had never done before, he had never done before. We kind of knew the technology involved to do with like motion tracking and all that kind of thing, but we were just like, let's just try it out and see how it goes. So yeah, it was just kind of very DIY, seat of my pants, motion tracking. These players to move around the girls as well.
It's stunning, and the flying by your seat of your pants certainly came.
Yeah, like it was,
you had me fooled, Ling.
yeah. It was something that I've always wanted to try, and I think I was really proud of how that came out. Obviously, we planned like so big, and this was just like a fraction of all the things that we had planned. But I think it was brilliant. Like,
yeah,
you never know.
Yeah. Like, I can't even imagine like what you were planning, because it was so excellent.
And what was the lead in time for the scope of the set design? I mean, it's so huge. What kind of a lead in time did you need, Ling, to manifest the set?
Well, actually spent we actually had a long time to sort of design how the set would look, because I was able to sort of remake what the concert hall looks like to scale in my 3D program.
Wow.
And that part was the easy part. and then ordering all the fabrics and everything. That was fine, but it was a week from the filming to when it came out, and that within that week is when I was doing all the motion tracking and 3D stuff overlaying onto that There's a Place video.
So very little sleep that week, I imagine.
Yeah, but you know, it was worth it.
Certainly was. And Saoirse, as you mentioned, the segment in which you decided to use the grand piano, again, you know, away from the main concert hall. I mean, such a stunning part of the program where you perform the No Doubt cover, Just a Girl. And I mean, feminism really runs through the veins of Radio Somewhere in its own authentic way. And one of my favorite songs of yours is Ask Away. Caoimhe, would you speak to that song a little bit?
Yeah, Ask Away is it's kind of it's a bit of a pissed off song, but it's kind of coming from a bit of a, I suppose, tongue-in-cheek perspective. It's literally about or was very much inspired by being asked to speak on a music panel, and the only questions that were put to me were specifically about my experience as a female or a woman, whatever. And I just remember, like, even in one of my answers at that particular panel, I was like, look, I realize I'm the token female here, but I can't speak on behalf of everybody. You know, I'm just doing what I'm doing. You know, that's not the lens that I'm looking at the world through, you know? So it's just a song about really being very, very fed up with that and trying to suggest all the other, you know, ridiculous questions, or trying to answer it in all the abstract ways that it feels. You know, I can't speak on behalf of everybody. It's ridiculous. But it was really fun to do that in the concert hall, and we were so lucky to be joined by the incredible Denise Chaila. I told her what it was about, and she absolutely smashed it.
It's so interesting to hear this backstory, because her kind of voiceover in the track, she mentions that, you know, the panel and being the one person on the panel, and so this is referencing this backstory.
I was like, and I didn't know what she was going to do until she turned up that day, because I kind of told her that, like, look, this is actually what it's about, kind of never thinking I'd actually say that out loud, and then she just put it in the song, and I'm actually like, oh my god, in the background. I'm in so much trouble, but I'm actually not, because I'm not. You know, it's fine. And so yeah.
And how is it that you went about identifying the many collaborators that feature in Radio Somewhere?
We kind of well, with Denise, like we had met Denise a little bit before that, like before the pandemic, and we have so much love for Denise and Merlin, God knows, and everyone at Lara Lane, and we really wanted to do something together because of this mutual kind of adoration, to put it mildly. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And then Loah is a good friend of ours, but we've never gotten to. Oh, we got to do a little collaboration before, again during the pandemic, and this time we were like, we'd love to do something in person with her because she's so talented, and we've known each other for so long, and that just worked out really well for both of them. And then Irish Women in Harmony, we just been part of on the Dreams cover, and we just put it out to a few members. We said, if anyone wants to jump in on this, we'd love your voices. We really wanted to kind of like project other female Irish artists that we love. And then with the little snippets of people's stories and in the excerpts, we just reached out again to lots of artists who have been part of our journey, and also who we just know and respect, and they all came back to us like so quickly with such really insightful and beautiful stories and anecdotes. And then the amazing Muireann O'Connell, who's a wonderful TV and radio host here, jumped at it as well and presented, and was just amazing. Like, so honestly, everybody that we reached out to seemed to just get the concept, and what's more, it meant a lot to them. So we ended up having this absolute like A-list collection of people collaborating, and it meant so much to us, because as well, we couldn't do all this in person, and even when we did get to see people on the day, it was so stringent. Everyone had to PCR test 48 hours before, so there was the risk that if someone had gotten COVID, like what the hell would we have done? There was so much pressure and so much time pressure on the days of filming. So honestly, people were just amazing and contributed, and yeah, it was such an amazing thing to pull off, and I think we're gonna love it forever.
Yeah.
And speaking of A-list collections of people, one of the covers that you did, the No Doubt cover, was very well received by the band themselves. Isn't that right?
It was amazing. Like, we were actually in Germany at a gig and a sound check a couple of weeks after, and we were like, No Doubt have just tweeted about the cover that we did with Sally, with Loah, and we were like, what on earth is happening? You know, it's so strange. Social media is so strange how it brings these giants that we grew up listening to suddenly, like, you know, tag your Twitter account. It's like, what on earth is going on? So yeah, we were really humbled and delighted that they loved it, because it's so far from their original version.
But the choices you made musically, I mean, the choice to slow it down that small bit, it nearly adds, I mean, the irony of the lyrics still hit, but it nearly adds this kind of melancholy, and the lyrics really hit different. They really do. They're kind of intensity to it that really resonates. And, you know, I guess it proves it's such a timeless song.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
And rolling back to Ask Away, I mean, I'm not gonna ask you to speak on behalf of your gender, but yeah, I think touching on and you know, the Radio Somewhere concept being somewhat in response to, I mean, the gender disparity that we see on Irish radio. Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your involvement with Women in Harmony and the way in which, I mean, that it seems to be a movement of sorts, and not just a music project. Yeah, and I'd love to hear about your involvement in that and how it is a force for good and for change in Irish radio play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an initiative started up by Ruth Ann Cunningham, who is an amazing songwriter and artist. And yeah, thankfully it's coming into the forefront, or coming into everybody's awareness now, how little Irish women making music in Ireland are celebrated and put forth on the radio. And so yeah, Ruth Ann had the idea to have everybody collaborate for a track that would be for what was the charity?
It was Safe Ireland. So actually, her motivation was entirely just to raise money for Safe Ireland. And she was like, you know, it's a domestic abuse charity that helps women and children who are suffering from domestic abuse. And she thought, well, obviously the thing to do here is to get a bunch of women to do it. And she's been based in London and America for so many years that she doesn't, as she sort of said, that she didn't really know a lot of the Irish female artists that were coming up. So Erica Cody, who's a brilliant singer as well, kind of reached out on her behalf to us, and we were like, yeah, absolutely, sure, we're all just sitting at home separate. And the way she pulled it off, you know, she got everybody's tracks, everyone's videos, you know, mixed it herself, got it mastered. Like, she's just a force to be reckoned with. And it hasn't just started this, you know, it highlighted so many wonderful artists, and, you know, rising tides lift all boats kind of vibe, but also, like, we're all in this massive WhatsApp group, and it's like a support group, you know, when these things and problems come up, people are able to kind of ask questions they might have been afraid to ask someone else, or can kind of turn to each other when things happen, or when they get treated a certain way, or when good things happen. And it's just been this lovely source of kind of solidarity throughout the last couple of years, and I think it's done everyone the world of good.
Absolutely. Well, we are greatly looking forward to the rebroadcast of the entirety of the show tomorrow on International Women's Day. And now, before we close out, I'd love to hear what you're working on at the moment, and if there's anything to share with us in terms of, I mean, as we get out and into the real world, are there any gigs coming up?
Yes, we've got our European tour, which is this summer, starting in June. So we're really excited to get back out on the road properly and tour a hopefully safe and COVID-free Europe. So at the moment it's going to be Germany, Switzerland, and hopefully a couple of other countries. And until then, we're just going to be working away on little bits and bobs.
Excellent. And
I have done a music video.
Yes. Yes, Karen, hello, human fly.
so more future Wyvern Lingo Ling collabs on the horizon.
Yes, she has done a dreamy video for our song Sydney, which is off our new album Awake You Lie, and we cannot wait for you to see it. It's an absolute journey. It's gorgeous.
Well, we greatly look forward to seeing that and seeing the rebroadcast of Radio Somewhere. Thank you so much, Ling and Wyvern Lingo, for your time. Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.